What's up, shit? Timmons here. Now, since Kirsten Dunst is returning, to the big screen this week for Roofman, I decided to go ahead and do my top 10 favorite Kirsten Dunst movies. Kristen, only Deadpool 2 fans will know the reference. But anyway, here is of course my top 10 favorite Kirsten Dunst films. All right, number 10 is Interview with the Vampire. Now, of course, this was one of her earliest films. I think this was actually her first film, if I'm not mistaken. Well, probably her breakout. But of course, this is based on the Anne Rice books, where Vampire Louise re-encounters his immortal life into a journalist here, and you got Kirsten Dunst who plays a young girl turned vampire trapped in a child's body here, and this was of course one of her earliest roles, and she did play the part very well. Really a little more, an adult role for a little controversial role for a actor for a young actor at the time, but she still played the part well. Brad Pitt obviously was great. Tom Cruise, it's a really good film there. Number 9 is another one of her earliest films, and that is Small Soldiers. Now, this is, of course, the Joe Dante directed film about high tech toy soldiers programmed with military AI who come to life and wage war in a small town. Where, of course, a teen named Alan and his allies must stop the commandos from causing havoc and all. And here you got Kristen Dunst who plays Alan's love interest who joins the fight here, and I really quite like the chemistry with her and Gregory Smith's Alan. The Gorgon Knights. I mean, who did not love those Gorgon Knights? Come on. I used to always get a kick out of this film all the time. Of course, you also had Jane Moore, Phil Hartman, and actually one of his last films, if I'm not mistaken. Tommy Lee Jones, of course. One of the voices. Frank Langella voiced Archer, the emissary of the Gorgon Knights. I used to always get kicked out of Small Soldiers. I used to actually have the toys from this movie when I was a kid before, believe it or not. So, all right, number 8 is another one of her earliest films, and that is Jumanji. Now, Jumanji, of course, we're like siblings. One of which is played by Dunst. Discover a magical board game that unleashes the jungle dangers into the real world. Obviously, you got Robert Williams who portrays the role of Alan Parrish, and it's a really decent early role for her. Her and her on-screen chemistry with her brother was pretty decent. Jumanji is a really fun family adventure movie from the '90s. Starring the late great Robert Williams, who does such a great job here. It is a really fun film, and it'll be cool to see her come back for a new Jumanji film. How cool would that be? Obviously, we can't have Robert Williams back for the next Jumanji, but it will be cool somehow they get Kirsten Dunst to appear in the fourth one coming. But who knows? All right, number 7 is Wimbledon. Now, this is, of course, a tennis movie starring Kirsten Dunst as Lizzie Bradbury, who's a confident, driven American tennis player who inspires Peter, played by Paul Bettany, and faces pressure to balance romance with her career ambitions. And the chemistry with Paul Bettany and Kirsten Dunst really decent. A really decent tennis romance movie that's well worth watching there. Sam Neill's also in this. It is a really good little film there. And of course, she is one of the pretty much one of the Spider-Man love interests who actually did a tennis who played a tennis player. Because Andrew Garfield's his Spider-Man version, of course, had Emma Stone. She will go on to play a tennis player. Obviously, Zendaya will go on to play a tennis player. So there's that little. That's actually pretty funny there. That's a little fun Spider-Man tennis connection there. Anyway, number 5 is a recent one, and that is Civil War. Now, this is, of course, where a second Civil War rages, where a team of journalists, including veteran war photographer Lee, travels to a fractured nation who documents the conflict and reach Washington, D.C. before it falls. Civil War is a really good one, directed by Alex Garland. You got Jesse Plemons, you got Nick Offerman, Kaylee Spenny, Some really good performances here. Kirsten Dunst really plays the part very well. It's a really wonderful performance of hers. I think she could have got an Oscar nomination for it. But number 4 is the movie titled Deck. That is literally the title, by the way. This is, of course, a comic that reimagines the Watergate scandal, where these two teen girls, Betsy and Arlene, becomes involved in exposing Richard Nixon's corruption here. And of course, you got like Kristen Dunst, Michelle Williams plays the leads. Will Ferrell's also in this. The movie is really hilarious throughout. It is really a fun like late '90s comedy, a really fun coming of age tale. It's a really good one there. All right, number 3 is The Virgin Suicides. Now, The Virgin Suicides, of course, directed by Sofia Coppola, uh, stars a really good cast that includes like Kristen Dunst. You also have Kathleen Turner was in this one. Uh, AJ Cook, from Final Destination fame. Josh Hartnett, Danny DeVito. This is of course like one of her earliest films that she did with Sofia Coppola, and it takes place in 1970 suburban Michigan, where these 5 lesbian sisters live under strict parental guidance after one of the characters takes their lives here. And here you got Kristen Dunst, who plays Lux Lipsman, who's a rebellious, alluring mill sister. She definitely, pretty much, I guess, say one of the movies that really put her on the map for most people. Obviously, she would go on to work with Sofia Coppola again for Marie Antoinette, which is an okay one too. But yeah, The Virgin Suicides is a really decent one, based on a well-known book. Decent coming in, like very intense at times, but yeah, of course, the movie was actually the directorial debut by Sofia Coppola, who did a great job here. She actually even co-wrote the movie with her father, Francis Ford Coppola, and yeah, really good film there. Number 2 is obviously the Spider-Man franchise. Of course, Kristen Dunst came on screen as Mary Jane Watson. Appears like appears charismatic, neighbor and eventually love interest. And her character, her character was always a little, snot nose at times. I still never understood why Pierre really wanted to go with her when she had a neighbor that will give her chocolate cake all the time. But okay, but yeah, Spider-Man is a really great one. Definitely a really good performance of her as Mary Jane. Her chemistry with Tom McGuire, who I think they were dating at the time, if I'm not mistaken. They play off each other well. Yeah, Spider-Man is really good, and it'll be cool to see her come back for the universe again. But who knows? And my number 1 favorite is Bring It On, starring Kristen. Of course, the cheerleading movie starring Kristen Dunst as Taurus Shipman, who's a determined cheerleader who navigates leadership, pressures, and a love triangle. It is one of the best cheerleading movies there is. It is really fun, really comedic here. Decent coming of age tale as well. You also do got lots of people who, such as Elijah Doshku, Jesse Bradford, Gabrielle Union, Kirsten Dunst, let's be real. She really looked great in the outfit, too. The movie is definitely really decent. Directed by Peyton Reed, who will go on to direct Ant-Man. Bring On is definitely one of the quintessential movies that really put her on the map from other folks and stuff. It's a really good one, and it's well worth watching there. But that's pretty much it. Here is my quick rundown. Number 10, Interview with the Vampire. 9, Small Soldiers. 8, Jumanji. 7, Wimbledon. 6, Marie Antoinette. 5, Civil War. 4, Deck. 3, The Virgin Suicides. 2, Spider-Man. And number 1 is Bring It On. Now, there are a few other ones I could have added. Let's see. Bonfires of the Vanities, she was in. Little Woman is another good one. Wag the Dog. Kiki's Delivery Service. Let's see. Lucky Town. Get Over It. Crazy Beautiful. The Cat's Meow. It's Mona Lisa Smile with Julia Roberts. Eternal Sunshine. Was not a fan of Elizabeth Town. All Good Things with Ryan Gosling. Bachelorette. On the Road. Anchorman 2. The Power of the Dog, which she got an Oscar nomination for. Woodstock. The Beguiled, another Sofia Coppola film. Hidden Figures, Midnight Special. Let's see. On the TV front, she was on ER, Tower of Terror, Black Mirror, On Becoming a God in Central Florida, 15 and Pregnant from 1998, which was like a Lifetime movie she did. I mean, who doesn't love Dunst, right? Anyway, let me ask you guys. What is some of your favorite Kirsten Dunst films? Drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Timmy.